Yeah, I guess what do you feel like is what's the realistic final settlement forward between Israel and Palestine? What do you think it is?
Okay. So what I think is peace, real peace, and the solution in the Middle East is like this. A strong Israel on its land, surrounded by strong Arab states on their land. A region of national states, an ethnic national region. They're on their lands, we're on our land, and then we work together for a harmonious region, for a betterment of the future. So, for Palestinians, it would mean being subsumed into Israel, getting residency, and having upward mobility in the country. For jihadists, it means no longer being here, finding a different place to be or whatever, emigration out. For Israel to be a strong state on its borders as a Jewish state. An ethnic Jewish state, ethnic national Jewish state, with minorities living here, with upward mobility, with pathway towards whatever normalizations, and for Israel to be a partner in the Abrahamic region, which is the term I've started using for the Middle East, because from our perspective, that's something that brings us all together, which is Abraham, and we're the children of Abraham, and that's really the way forward. As opposed to any kind of other cuttings, any other kind of splitting up Israel, shrinking Israel. All shrinkings of Israel will fail and will lead to nothing but a failure. But that is the way forward. A small Jewish Israel surrounded by Arab countries working together for the Abrahamic region. Simple.
Do you think Palestinians or surrounding Arabs would ever accept that?
Certainly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you think is the path forward to that? How do you get them to accept that?
It's a multi-pronged path forward. First thing, it's to help emigration for jihadis. It's to create a very clear system of rights and demands and responsibilities. They have to know that if they're going to stay in Israel, they're going to get X. Here's what residency looks like. Here's your travel documents. Here's normalization. Here's what we do not allow. Here's jihadism. This is what it looks like. We don't allow it. And this is what happens when you do. Like one of my big critiques about Israel is that it's not clear in its language and its demands. You have to lay it out much more clearly, speak clearly, tell people the truth, tell people what their rights and obligations are. If you're going to be a resident of Israel as an Arab, then you have to do army or national service. Here's how much time. This is what you have to do. Okay, this is what your rights are, and here's your obligations. Lay that out clearly. Speak clearly. Say what we're not willing to accept.
On a quick thing of that, do you think Arabs should serve in the military?
Absolutely.
In Israel? Okay.
Or national service.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think anybody should have a super residency or a super citizenship. I think everybody should be equalized. If you're going to live in this country, if you're going to enjoy our country, then you have to serve it. That's very simple. And I believe that the Arabs will accept that. I think that's the only thing you're going to accept at the end.
Can I ask you domestic questions? One, do you think this country's weakened by not having a constitution? Do you think that matters or no?
Listen, again, clarity. I believe in clarity. I think there should be a constitution if you want, but basically a very clear layout of how things are supposed to work. For example, our borders have to be clear. We don't have clear borders.
Yeah.
Which means that we're like a 75-year-old country without clear borders. That's silly.
Yeah.
So clear borders, clear rights and obligations, and a more equality under the law.
Do you think that the Knesset should be fundamentally changed? Do you think that the way that the coalition-style government with the 3% to be seated, do you think that's okay right now?
I think there should be more geographic representation.
Okay.
We don't have that right now. And
you're talking about like the bicameral in the United States, the Senate and the...
Exactly. Like more regional representation. Parties should run on a regional platform. We need to say, okay, you want to be Likud, but Likud and Ashkelon has to get the seats. And the local...
Oh, actually, I never even considered this.
Geographic representation is key.
For your Knesset, there is no districting or anything like that.
No, and that's a mistake. Because that means that regional places don't get the attention that they deserve. So that's a mistake. It's a weird system that they created. I think that there are better ones. But also, all these systems have to be tempered with a flavor of Judaism. Because at the end, that's also part of the constitution, if you will, of the country.
Do you think, these are just boring domestic government, I just don't know. Do mayors have a lot of power? Or is it like, are you literally like, you're KM, and then there's just like MK. A mayor? Or MK, I'm sorry, and then you just have like mayors? Or is there any regional step between that? Like districts or?
There are districts, there are districts, but there's like regional mayors in places like Judea and Samaria. There's mayors of towns, and they're pretty powerful.
Okay.
But again, it would be much better if there was also regional representation in the Knesset. I'm sure of that.
Interesting.
now as we're making this right turn. We're going into Kiryat Arba. Kiryat Arba, sister city of Hebron. I want you to take a look here and see it for yourself. See what it looks like. So first is Kiryat Arba, this relatively big town in Judea. Look at the people. They're standing waiting for hitchhikes or for a bus. There's soldiers, there's kids.
Where do the buses normally go out here? Into Jerusalem or to other?
They're to Jerusalem or Beersheba or other places.
Okay.
We're right in between Jerusalem and Beersheba.
Gotcha.
Okay? And so here's a town. Yehudi. Toda. Okay, they also know me here. They're suspicious of strangers, which is what they're paid to do, is be suspicious. So that's okay, because again, checkpoints are not a dirty word, it just means security for everybody. And so now we're driving through the town of Kiryat Arba, and then Kiryat Arba is attached to the big Arab city of Hebron, which within it is a small Jewish enclave, if you will. We don't think of it so much as an enclave, but as we've been living in the city for over 3,000 years, pretty much straight, except for 2 breaks. One during the Crusader period, the Crusaders came, we had to run away, and another period after the 1929 riots, the jihadist riots. The town was emptied out by the British, but we returned just a few years later, 1967.